No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Bronco Nation? Welcome on into a live edition of Bronco Nation News here at BroncoNationNews.com. My name is BJ Rains. It is Tuesday. We got Tust coming up shortly with a Tuesdays with Tust edition here at Bronco Nation News. A lot going on today, so excited to have you with us for today's show. We're going to talk about a couple of defensive players that are leaving and how the Broncos are going to replace them. I'm sending our man Tust a reminder to make sure he pops on, but excited to be with you today. Get your questions in, get your thoughts, your comments in. Got a lot to discuss today ahead of the Post Malone Jelly Roll concert tonight, and looking forward to that. And as I said, continuing our countdown of the 25 topics, questions, and lot going on. So, by the way, good story by Don Day. If you haven't read it yet, Don Day, Boise Dev, talking about some of the big picture future items for Boise State athletics. And after that story came out, Boise State has officially announced BAGS, Bronco Athletics Growth Solutions. It's an LLC, I believe, that's a strategic and entrepreneurial initiative designed to evaluate and accelerate non-traditional revenue opportunities, supporting the comprehensive growth and sustainability of Bronco Athletics. It's a whole-owned subsidiary of the University Foundation. It will pursue revenue-based partnerships, capital investment opportunities, and innovative financial models. It's a direct response to the continued evolution of college athletics and aims to position Boise State as a national leader in creating problem-solving and revenue generation. So if you read Don Day's article, they're talking about maybe a hotel, maybe some mixed-use space. They want to find ways to make more money any way they can. And if that means getting some private equity to take a loan to build a hotel next to Albertson Stadium, then that's something they might consider moving forward here. So highly recommend going on and reading Don Day's article, and that's at Boise Dev. Some great stuff on Boise State trying to find ways to generate more revenue and some different ways that they could do that here in the future. moving forward. We had the Pac-12 TV news come out yesterday. A lot of folks positive about that. Surf City Bill, good morning, fellow Pac members. Most were, I think, in favor of it. I went on with John Canzano on his radio show over in Portland. He was asking me for the reaction of it, and I said I think it was kind of mixed. I think a lot of people were excited about it, but some others maybe necessarily weren't as excited just because of some of the, CBS Sports Network issues and things that you guys have there. So still no news on the realignment front. We all expect Texas State will be the 8th member to get added. Those are the reports from Yahoo, from ESPN, but nothing official on any of that. So we'll stay tuned today and see if any kind of realignment news breaks in terms of what's next in terms of Texas State or the next team in terms of realignment. But now that the TV deal, at least in part, is out, the commissioner, Teresa Gould, did a great interview with Yogi Roth on the Pac-12 Network podcast there. So go check that out. She talked about now they feel like they're at that position where enough is in place that they can get back to the membership discussion. And sounds like that won't be too far behind is what's next in terms of the membership agreements for the Pac-12. So whether it's Texas State, whether it's somebody else, that probably should be coming here in the near future. We do welcome in the host of Broncos Studios from Boise State, the great Jay Tust, with us on a Tuesday with Tust here on Bronco Nation News. Jay, I know they kicked you out of your office first day you got booted from the office, but you're back at home for a few more shows at least, or at least today's show with the concert.
Yeah, I guess it's the my second coolest ejection ever since getting kicked out of a T-ball game for sliding. We were not allowed to slide. I kept sliding, got ejected. So second coolest ejection, I guess.
But I can't even say how was your first day, because you said you were
not really. Not really. Yeah, it was pretty quick, to be honest with you, but got to see my office at least, which I'm excited about, and it's all becoming real, BJ. Like I feel like the last couple of weeks have taken a long time, but it's all becoming pretty real right now.
So you believe Jeremiah Dickey made space in his luxurious office to put your cubicle right there in with him?
I know, right? It's pretty wild. No, that's not the case at all, but it'll be good. So excited to get you over there and check it out, and whenever you want. And yeah, we're off and running, man.
Obviously a lot going on there, and I know this is a sports show and we are going to talk sports today, but I did think that it was worth bringing up the Post Malone concert tonight, because I know we talked about this a little bit last week, Jay, but he has some history on this field. I mean, it was 5-6 months ago, whatever it was, where he randomly showed up at the Mountain West Championship game, and there was rumors that he was there, and then Mike Prater posted a picture of him, and I'm not sure if you got one, but he's just standing there on the balcony over there by the Blameyer Center watching the game, just kind of, just lives in Utah, and I guess I'm still trying to get the exact reason. I know he likes football. Maybe you know more details than I do, but he just kind of randomly showed up for the game, and then, I guess a couple weeks ago, a month ago, he randomly showed up like in Caldwell or was at the steakhouse and some other places there. So he's been kind of making some random appearances here in town, but obviously being there for the championship game, and then what that night turned into with him signing the goalpost, as you see on the video here. I took this from our friend Joey Jenkins' Twitter account. That was just add it to the crazy, memorable night that was with Big Noon Kickoff being here and all that was on the line and going to the game. And one more layer of it, when the book's ever written, is there's Post Malone at Penn Gillies Saloon downtown, and then, Post signing the goalpost. This was just, a couple months ago after the Mountain West Championship game, Jay. Just another layer to that surreal night.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know how it could have ended any better than that. Maybe Kellen Moore randomly showing up back in Boise to sign the goalpost. I don't know. But even then, Post signing the post has just a hilarious ring to it. And that really was an unbelievable night. And waking up in the morning and seeing this video, it was like, wow, you got to be kidding me. Like that was just such a cool evening and a memorable evening, and one we won't soon forget, that's for sure.
And there was another picture. I don't have it ready to show, Jay, but there was a picture with the guys on the basketball team had given him a basketball jersey. I saw that said Malone and had his number on it. I don't know what in terms of the football stadium. I know at some of his concerts, at various times throughout the concert, he has, donned a hat or a jersey or something from, the team or the city that he is visiting. It seems like he has some sort of connection here with the city of Boise now and this state. And I know Ashley says, I heard he's moving here. I haven't heard that part yet. Tyree says he has a house here. I know he moved to Utah. I haven't heard for sure, Jay, about the Idaho portion of this, but maybe tonight we get a little extra, conversation between songs, or maybe he shows up in a Ashton Genty jersey. I don't know, but we'll be curious to see if he mentions, his trip here or wears anything Boise State at the concert tonight.
They better be rocking that Post Malone basketball jersey that the basketball team gave him, right?
Dude, of all
that'd be awesome.
Program, that was so smart of them to do that. If he's at the football stadium and he comes out wearing the orange basketball jersey, that would be pretty sick.
That would be awesome. I feel like something's gonna happen. He clearly likes it here, and I think he's got some friends here and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a cool night on the blue or over the blue, whatever you want to call it, because you're not really gonna be able to see the blue turf with the stadium layout. But it's I was told it's the most elaborate intense stadium layout that they've ever had here. So they're trying to find every nook and cranny to accommodate Post Malone and Jelly Roll, and it sounds like it's going to be a pretty epic night. So excited to see what it looks like.
In terms of the size of the stage and stuff, like I believe the Garth Brooks, concert, and then being in the kind of more in the middle, and then also the Luke Combs stage, I think like from sheer size of a stage, I think both of those may have been bigger, but with the fire and some of the pyrotechnics that come with Post Malone's concert. Then also I was talking to or saw something from Nathan Burke where a lot of those concerts have kind of the general admission pit where they can just shove people in there. They don't have that at this concert. So they had to put an actual folding chair, at every single spot all over the entire field, which probably adds to it as well. But Robbie Robinson saying, believe he has a house in Eagle now. My coworker's sister drove his buses. So the legend continues to grow here.
My coworker's sister.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out.
Okay, all right.
I mean, maybe that's the case. And if that is the case, and he, for some reason, just falls in love with the city of Boise here. Maybe that's going to lead to future concerts and events and things, and getting him involved with the Boise State community. I mean, that's just another surreal thing that the community of Boise just, made him have a great time when he came. And like I said, he was just, I think it was your former employer, now that I can say that, Jay, that had some random shots of him in photos in like a bar in Caldwell a couple weeks ago as well. And so they've been touring the country. That in the last couple of days, they were in LA for a Thursday concert. And then on Saturday, they were in Phoenix. Two NFL stadiums that we talked about last week, Jay, and now here they are coming up to Boise. The show's not sold out yet, by the way. If you are looking to go, there are still some tickets available. I know some folks have complained a little about the prices. They are a little pricey, but if you check the secondary market, they've dropped significantly, and I think you can get, in for a couple of tickets for what I would call a reasonable price for a marquee event in Boise like this at this point. But I think that, as Boise State, and we saw that Don Day article, which I talked about, Jay, your employer, Boise State, has now announced this Bronco Athletics Growth Solutions. They're trying to generate revenue any way they can. I think concerts like this, we talked about it last week, need to be at least one a summer, if not two, to be able to pack 40,000+ people in here. And Chaser Day is saying need to get Metallica on the blue. I don't know if they can quite go that big, but certainly concerts like this are a way to raise some money and increase the notoriety and I guess the profile of the city of Boise here.
It seems like they've been highly popular so far, and hopefully they get a sellout tonight. But I love this concert series that they keep trying to do on the blue, and hopefully it becomes just an annual event. I think they took a year off there at some point in time, but no, I think it's awesome, and I'm eager to see where it grows, because even you saw in Don's article, or if you follow Jeremiah Dickey on social media, he's always asking what's next. He's always pushing for more, and as long as it's somewhat of a success, which it seems like it's a roaring success, I would expect to see this just continue. And it would be interesting to see if there is a way to maybe stack another concert on this next summer or something like that, where maybe you take a maybe a week off, or I don't know what it is. I have no clue, but it would be cool to kind of see that become something that the city of Boise can kind of lean on as really a summer event, right? Like it's just something is going to happen every summer. You look forward to it when it's snowing in December, and you know that that's going to be your night out during the summer and have some fun.
Yeah, give me realistic options here. We're not going to talk about this the whole show, but if you have a realistic option for a concert you'd like to see on the Blue that you think would sell out and do pretty well, that you think is in a dream for you, next summer, who would you like to see on the Blue? Let us know in the ICCU YouTube chat. And you're right, Jay. Part of you says, do one in June and one in early July and spread it out. But part of you also says when you cover that field with all the work it takes to do that, and leave all the chairs out, leave all the leave all the whatever plastic or whatever the material is that covers I know it's not plastic, but it's like a hard material they have to cover the Blue with to protect it. That's a lot of time and expense and money too. So maybe you just do back-to-back Saturdays or something, or who knows where you can leave some of that up. I think it's a great opportunity. Unfortunately, though, Jay, what we saw, this is probably what it would have to be, a Tuesday night. I mean, I know people are complaining, oh, it's a Tuesday night, it's a work night. But as I said, they were just in L.A. and Phoenix, and I think on Thursday or Friday, they're up in your hometown in Seattle, T-Mobile Field. So, I mean, unfortunately, that's probably what you're getting, and that's what we get for a lot of concerts here in Boise, the midweek stopover on the way to a bigger city, a bigger market. They want to get in that extra not cash grab. That's not a fair way to say it, but maybe a typical size stadium or venue that they wouldn't typically stop at, or a city they wouldn't stop at just on its own. But if they can sandwich it between two bigger ones, I mean, maybe there's a way to do that again. Rascal Flats is one that's coming in here. We got some other ones. Folks are saying Greta Van Fleet, Blink 182 wasn't one I was expecting to pop, but if Missoula can host Guns N' Roses and Pearl Jam, so can Boise. I mean, if you could back it up but the problem is, Jay, as you know, I mean, a week or 10 days apart for what these ticket prices are going for, and a lot of people will be the same ones going to both probably. That takes a strain on it too. But if you asked Boise State, they would probably prefer, because I mean, you were just down there yesterday. I mean, what's it like around the stadium? And I know they added a perimeter around there where they can have a lot of the beer vendors and food vendors outside the stadium to alleviate some of that congestion. But all that kind of work they've put in would be nice to be able to keep that up, for a second concert as well.
Yeah, kind of looking at it, it still felt like maybe a little bit of the skeleton that I was looking at, but I mean, like it's definitely more elaborate than what you would see on a Boise State game day, like for football, right? Like the parking lot inside the stadium. I hope that's a fair way to say that, but it's a pretty big production. You're going to go down there in the parking lot. You're going to see, wow, it looks super organized. It looks different than game day. And then once you get inside the stadium, that obviously looks, very different as well. And I think the cool thing is that, Boise State didn't have it for Garth Brooks. They did have it last summer, but just a reminder that new sound system is in place. And, now these events are going to sound bigger and louder and better than ever before.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Vlad here says Donnie and Marie would be nice. I think my parents would probably enjoy. I'm not sure they can still fill a 40,000 seat stadium. Donnie, Vlad, head to Vegas if you want to see them. I think they're still down there playing at the Flamingo or something for a couple nights a week. But anyway, should be fun tonight. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not like the biggest Post Malone or Jelly Roll fan, just to be completely honest. I last couple days have put on some of the songs just to get familiar with some of them, and there's certainly some of those where it's like, oh, I didn't realize that was him, or oh, I know that one. So but it's just kind of the thing to do in Boise, and it's kind of the event. So when I heard about it, I was like, oh, it's probably something we'll try to do. So we were able to get childcare, and my wife and I we're heading down there. So maybe we'll see some of you guys down there, and looking forward to. We'll probably be at the James beforehand. That's a perfect spot for folks to go tailgate or whatever they call it, hang out before the concert. So my wife and I are looking forward to it. Going to be a rare Tuesday night, a rare excuse to head out to dinner and go see the show on the Blue tonight. So hopefully we'll see a lot of you guys down there, listeners and viewers, and should be a fun night down on the Blue. And yeah, as they say, it's always kind of what's next. They announced this one in late November, Jay, and it was coming in June. So you don't need a ton of time for this. I mean, this is kind of the time that some of these artists are starting to announce next summer's concerts, or at least they're already in discussions, I would say. So I would assume they're already trying to talk to folks about this. And And I do know Jelly Roll's story, and especially all the weight he's lost, by the way. That's been a really, I know he's overcome a lot. I know that's what a lot of his music is about. And so, yeah, I'm actually personally more excited. I guess I'll admit it. I actually know more of Jelly Roll's music and like that kind of style a little more. So I'm actually very excited. I'm more looking forward to Jelly Roll than Post Malone, to be honest. And so, his story is really cool, and I know he's doing great on his weight loss. Marcus says tickets are down to $66 on Ticketmaster. So, yeah, you can Jay's going to go purchase a couple real quick, and then he'll be back. But
maybe.
No, going to be a fun night tonight. And, Jelly Roll, what are you putting the odds at that he comes out in something Boise State, or that he at least at some point dons a Boise State hat or jersey at some point during the show? I mean, is that
Post?
Money? Is that a favorite at this point, or?
I feel like it's got to be some type of favorite. I mean, he's got a jersey. He's already had it. He's had it since November or December, whenever it was. Like, he's had it for a while.
And if he really is living here now or has these ties here, like, and this is quote unquote home or one of his homes now, you would think there'd be some other local some that would make him want to have some other kind of personal connection to this. I don't know. Robbie says raffle off a couple tickets at the end of the show for you paying for him, Robbie? I mean, I'd be happy to do. I mean, if we had some, I would love to do that. But the only two I have are for me and my wife at the moment. But all right, so looking forward to that tonight. Everybody have fun, be safe, and should be a fun concert tonight. And I know we're all looking forward to what future concerts and things are coming to the Blue. And tonight should be a cool night for Boise and the city of Boise here with Post Malone coming. All right, so Boise State loses a really strong trio that I don't really think, honestly, Jay, is getting enough talk when you talk about this defense. When you lose an Alexander Teubner, a Rodney Robinson, and a Seyi Oladipo, and those three guys in the defensive backfield and what they've brought to the table the last 4, 5, 6 years, their leadership, their production, their versatility to play different spots. I know they like, Banks and Zion Washington and some of these other guys that are going to have, increased roles from all of this. But losing Teubner, losing Oladipo, and losing Robinson, I think is a major loss that's going to be tough for Boise State, to really make up for. And that's kind of today's topic and question. How does Boise State replace those guys? Who are the guys that get the extra playing time because of that? And we'll get to that on our Countdown to Camp series here momentarily. But first, do want to thank our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. Andy Rowe, there would be no Bronco Nation news without rowpaint.com. So hit him up, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. Andy Rowe, rowpaint.com, R-O-E paint.com. We appreciate them. All your painting needs, those concrete coatings, interior, exterior painting, hit them up at rowpaint.com. Taco Bell, TacoBellWorks.com is the website for the Nicolason family, the SON Management Group, the local Treasure Valley-owned Taco Bell locations. And if you're looking for a job, they're hiring. You can fill out the paperwork right there in the store, but also the food is tremendous, whether it's those cheesy roll-ups. My kids, Taco Bell has all this great elaborate food. My kids like literally the basic old, cheesy roll-ups with cheese and tortilla, and buy them a slushie and they're good to go for like $5. So the Cantina Bowls, the Lux Cravings boxes, all the great options. Hit them up today and support a Treasure Valley Taco Bell location. Hey, Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest is that mobile e-branch online banking. Jay, they sent me some new commercials from ICCU, but they include Gonzaga fans in the video, and I wasn't sure if I should, start playing those yet or not. So I held off on it today to see if there's any other options, but they've got a official partnership with Gonzaga up there now. There's some ICCUs up there in Spokane. So they're spreading out to other states and areas, and they continue to grow. But Idaho Central Credit Union, the best in the business. And you can get more information. Sign up today at ICCU.com. Hey, Jackson's an Extra Mile. I'll remind you that if you purchase 2 Coca-Cola products, you can save up to $8, and you can do it 4 times. So up to $32 on 4 tickets to Roaring Springs. That's right. Just go in and purchase 2 Coca-Cola products from Jackson's or Extra Mile, and you get $8 off, and you can use it up to 4 times. That's $32 in savings from our friends at Jackson's and Extra Mile at Roaring Springs. Hey, Snake River Pool and Spa Patio and Game. They've been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team. Locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. Check them out, thespateam.com. Whether it's a sauna, whether it's a pool table, whether it's a spa, they got you covered. Snake River Pool and Spa Patio and Game online at thespateam.com. Hey, the Blue and Orange store, they got you covered. They're now the in-venue provider of Boise State merchandise. So excited for them and for that. But they have their store, the long-standing store that's been there, over almost 2 decades now. They're at the Boise Town Square Mall, second floor, right there next to the Pro Image. Whether it's Coach's Sideline apparel, I saw the new polos are out, Jay. They've got them, the new Coach's polos for, I'm sure Jay Tust already got one or will be getting one shortly. The official Sideline apparel polos for this season are out, and they sell them at the Blue and Orange store. So make sure you go online to theblueandorangestore.com or visit their store there at the Boise Town Square Mall. The Blue and Orange store, theblueandorangestore.com. And Lithia Ford of Boise, do what the Raines family did. Purchase a used vehicle from Lithia Ford of Boise. You will not be disappointed. With their pre-owned pride, you know that all used vehicles have been inspected, dissected, and corrected to make sure that you have no issues with your used vehicle when you purchase it. You can go online, lithiafordboise.com, view their full inventory of vehicles, or go visit them right there on Fairview Avenue in Boise. All right, Jay, before we dive into some of the numbers and whatever, when I just mentioned what I mentioned earlier, that trio, Teubner, Robinson, Oladipo, I think that, individually you could maybe argue, that they could replace one guy here and there, whatever. But you think about collectively, the three of those guys, what they brought to the table, their production, their experience, their versatility, as a whole, replacing all three of those guys is just your initial thoughts, because I don't think it's going to be very easy.
I don't think it is going to be easy. And honestly, with some of those guys, it's probably more the intangibles than the actual production you saw on Saturday. I mean, Alexander Teubner specifically was a guy that just really embodied what every fiber of this program is about: blue collar mentality, overcoming adversity, doing more with less. He was selfless. He really did play out of position, and that's something that didn't get enough talk last year. That he was I think 195, 200 pounds, and he's playing down inside the box as basically an outside linebacker. He was a big reason why they were able to do what they wanted to do on defense last year. And he had tremendous value to this team. And you look at Seyi Oladipo, he had more sacks than any other safety in the country last year. And Rodney Robinson probably doesn't get enough credit for what he did and his contributions that he made last year. He was a starter earlier in his career, and last year he took a little bit of a back seat because he wasn't a starter. But he had some really nice moments in some games that he made some really impactful plays. And I know Eric Chenander, he loved to praise Rodney because he was book smart. He was always in the right spot. He was always ready. And that's, man, I think this is a perfectly warranted question on your countdown, BJ, because I really do think that the value of those three is probably underestimated by a lot of people in Bronco Nation right now. And that's no knock on Bronco Nation, but I just think that those are three really valuable pieces. That being said, I do think that they've done a good job of addressing those needs. I honestly feel like Teubner's probably the most difficult to replace just because of the uniqueness of his role, but it does feel like they're not completely just guessing at who's going to try and replace those guys. It seems like there was a very intentional plan, and that plan's starting to play out. Man, I hate doing this to you, BJ. I hate it.
The funny thing is, I had the other
Were you singing Jelly Roll songs? I think you were singing Jelly Roll's latest song.
I was cracking open my Diet Dr. Pepper here.
Oh,
but,
okay.
I had a great number for you too. 5,808. 5,808. That's the career snaps from Robinson, Oladipo, and Teubner. You're talking 5,800 career snaps. They combined for 10 interceptions, 31 pass breakups, 561 tackles. We're talking leadership, experience, whatever, but you're talking production as well. 561 tackles, 31 pass breakups, 10 interceptions over their careers at Boise State. And the versatility, Jay, that I mentioned, you talk about Teubner, and this is in Nathan Carroll's article. Folks can go read this at bronconationnews.com. But, he says, even though he was listed as safety, he said, we all talked about this, but really played will linebacker last year. Of his 509 snaps, 68% of them came in the box from a linebacker alignment last year. So he's saying maybe you replace Teubner from the linebacker room as opposed to, from the safety room. But, nickel spot's going to be very interesting. And Jay, just the scheme as well, because you mentioned it, but a lot of those guys being able to rush the passer and being able to blitz from linebacker spots or safety spots, like their versatility, and especially Teubner, allowed them to do so many different things. So do you see them having to switch up, what they do on defense, or do they just try to find guys that can do what they do?
I think, we only know that once we get into fall camp, and if seeing some of these guys are ready, it seems like Ganter, the Eastern Washington transfer, no doubt is going to try to play, is going to play a role in solving some of these issues, if you will, with guys moving on. But, I don't think that, even when we talk about it, like the average will linebacker is probably like 230, 235-ish, maybe 225 at the lightest. And Tubes is playing down there at, 25 to 40 pounds under that. And so what that allowed them to do was still maintain a physicality in the run game, but a guy at that position who could cover a lot of ground and drop into coverage and cover guys and do things like that. And so I do think this year, you are going to see a little bit more of the traditional two linebacker approach, where you're going to see Jake Rip out there as well as Marco Notriani. But I don't know. That being said, man, like I probably would have told you that last year with Andrew Simpson and Marco Notriani, and we saw how that kind of played out. So, time will tell, but I would anticipate that, but not exactly sure, to be honest.
And somebody on here says, it's Keaton says, I'm excited to see Ganter can replace Oladipo's production. Hope I'm wrong, but I have a little faith in Banks at that position. And I know that was talked spring, Jay, about moving Devon Banks. 416 snaps he played last season as an outside corner, moved to nickel in the spring ball. He did struggle in coverage last season, but Nathan says he was solid in run defense and was one of the team's better tacklers. And if you're solid in run defense and one of the better tacklers, you said that would translate more to spending more time in the, in the slot at the nickel spot. And so he mentioned that might be something that suits him a little bit better. What do you think is a big move? But Devon Banks to nickel, what do you make there?
I think that Devon Banks has a high ceiling, and I don't think that we've seen it yet, man. I think the consistency has obviously got to level out a little bit there at that position for him. And I fully anticipate him having the ability to do that. He got off to a really nice start his first year at the University of Washington, and then maybe year two didn't go quite as well. And then he comes here, and I think that, he gets here, he's trying to get up to speed on a new system, see where he fits and all of those things. And now that he has over a year under his belt, I expect him to make a big jump. And as you and Nathan both pointed out, he brings a level of physicality to his game that would be necessary for this kind of position switch, if you will. And I just want to see what it looks like. If he can come down in the box and tackle but still cover like a corner, that could be a huge boost for this Boise State defense.
Yeah. I think Banks, anyone wanting to criticize him, I think it's a little early for that. But
I think it's very early. He's a guy that I think is in line to make a pretty big jump this year, in all honesty.
He'll be in a completely different role than what he did last year. So if you want to rip on him on his coverage skills, that's not necessarily going to be the main focus of what he would do this year. But they wanted to get their best kind of guys on the field, and he is certainly one of those guys. You mentioned Ganter, Eastern Washington, transfer, redshirted in 2023, but last year, freshman All-American, second team All Big Sky selection. And we've, I think, brought this up before, but Nathan mentions his tackling. 8.9% missed tackling rate. He's an excellent tackler, and he should step in and fix some of Boise State's tackling issues on defense right away. And Nathan says, quote, "The hype appears to be justified." And he based on his look at the stats and watching the film, he says he was utilized at Eastern Washington similar to how the Broncos used Teubner, predominantly as a box safety who could step into a linebacker role or slide to the slot and play nickel. And he says if they decide to play dime heavy, again this fall, Ganter Jr. would seem to fit that role well. If they want to go two linebackers more often, he said he could see Ganter rotating into nickel with Banks, or safety with Zion Washington. But it does seem like Ganter, and I know you touched on him, is the big offseason piece here that hopefully can kind of be that Swiss Army knife, or at least help fill some of the void that this trio we're talking about left.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about this is that, this whole transfer portal era, it giveth and it taketh. And in this case, man, it giveth, because I've said this a number of times before, BJ. I think if you go 5-6 years ago, before NIL and transfer portal and stuff really started to take over and change the game, when Power 5 programs and stuff had deeper recruiting classes at the prep level, taking 25 guys and things like that, I mean, I just think that Ganter winds up somewhere else. He doesn't make it to Eastern Washington, but now with some of those other programs gobbling up people out of the transfer portal, there's a trickle down effect. And now he gets a chance to go have this great experience at Eastern Washington, where he puts up gaudy numbers, he gains a bunch of confidence, and now he's coming up to the level to play for a program that, I mean, in all honesty, it feels like he was more destined to play for, a premier, group of 5 program in Boise State that is going to contend for, the college football playoff bid once again this year. And that's a great opportunity for him. And no doubt it's going to get more difficult going up from FCS to FBS. But you believe, like, with what you see on tape and some of these stats that Nathan's pointed out, you believe that he is primed and ready to go to do it. And the great thing about it, BJ, he has a ton of runway left. He still has multiple years of eligibility to continue to build off this thing, grow, and get even better.
All right, a couple other names that are going to be in the mix, could get some playing time that fans need to know next year. A couple of junior college transfers. I want to bring them up and mention them here in just a second. But first, I do want to thank Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. When you buy or sell a home with Matt, you get to meet everybody in the picture there. The Raines family bought and sold our home with Matt, Kelly Ridley, the whole crew there last summer, and tremendous experience from start to finish. Highly recommend it. Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate. Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com, 13 locations in the state of Idaho, locations surrounding areas and states as well. So you're looking for that friendly hometown grocery store feel and that family environment. That's Ridley's Family Markets, and you can download their Skip app and get up to 40% off at the checkout line. That's Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. Hey, if you're looking for a job, maybe the trucking industry is something you haven't thought of. Well, you should. Transportation Compliance Service, a local company helping out folks all over the world. Sign up to get into the trucking industry. All the paperwork and DOT overweight, everything you do, over 75% of the people that try to do it themselves end up going out of business. So hit up Transportation Compliance Service, transcomservice.com, and they can help you get out there towing that first load in no time. And hey, speakpipe.com/BNN. It's brought to you by Signature Roofing, covering our community for more than 2 decades, online at mysignatureroofing.com. And if you would like to leave us a voicemail, something you like, something you didn't like, a random topic, just get on your phone, your tablet, your computer, go to speakpipe.com/BNN, leave us a voicemail, and we can play it on an upcoming broadcast. And it's brought to you again by Signature Roofing. All your roofing needs, whether it's a re-roof, repair, an estimate, and inspection, you can check them out online at mysignatureroofing.com. They are going to bring you the RJ Keene Show, which will be starting here in the next couple of weeks. We're looking forward to the RJ Keene Show, one of a couple new shows that are in the works. We got a lot of things in the works here at BNN, and we're excited to tell you about it here in the very near future. But the RJ Keene Show, one of a couple new things coming to BNN. We're excited to start the RJ Keene Show here in the next couple of weeks. I'm not sure how excited Jay, Cody Gogler, or Leon, or the coaching staff is about RJ Keene having his own show. But RJ Keene will he's got some cool things, and the folks at Signature Roofing, they're always thinking big and dreaming big. So we have some cool ideas and things that we want to do for that coming forward here. But I mentioned the JUCO guys. The first one mentioned by Nathan is Jalen Webb. He was a first-team JUCO All-American at Kilgore College last season. Was also the Conference Defensive Player of the Year at Kilgore last year, Jay. 5 interceptions for Webb, 44 tackles, was the number 2 JUCO safety in the class of 2025. Boise State went and got him, and was here for the spring, had a pretty strong spring, didn't really do much in the spring game, but he's the name that Nathan says, if I had to pick a name right now, that he'll kind of emerge this fall as a guy that's going to get some playing time. He also mentioned Samuel Brooks, first-team JUCO All-American at Dodge City Community College last year, 89 tackles in just 10 games. And, he's a guy that, again, has a lot of experience at the JUCO level. Sherrod Smith, another JUCO guy, defensive back, comes to the Broncos from San Mateo College, first-team all-conference selection as a cornerback there as well. And then he mentions a true freshman, Arthur Debochi, from the Netherlands, is a guy to keep an eye on as well. Enrolled early and was made some plays and stood out this spring. Josiah Alanis, Vancouver, Washington. He hasn't come in yet, but was the highest rated safety in the 2025 class. Well, he's here now, but he wasn't here in the spring. He's a guy to keep an eye on as well. So that's 5 names right there, Jay, in addition to Ganter and Banks. And if we saw anything last year, it's that they're going to rotate guys in, and one of somebody we mentioned or haven't mentioned, somebody's going to get an opportunity.
Yeah, we actually brought up Webb earlier, or I should say late last week, when we're kind of going over those potentially impactful new players, talking about true freshmen or the transfers. And Webb was a guy that kind of continued to show up during spring ball, especially the spring game. And, just kind of standing on the sideline, it seems like he's ready to kind of make that jump. So was pleasantly surprised. You just don't always know what you're going to get with JC transfers. You truly don't. You have to get them out there, get their feet wet and see what happens, to be honest with you. And I thought that Webb had a really good spring. I have plenty of reason for hope and optimism that he's going to be an impactful player in some way, shape, or form this year. And I think so oftentimes whenever we say stuff like that, you're like, oh, he's got to be a starter to do that. But as we saw with a guy like Rodney Robinson last year, you don't have to be a starter to impact the game. Rodney made a presence in a few situations where he basically was the acting starter, but mostly he's a guy that was a reserve, a special teams contributor, and a leader. And it feels like Webb could be a guy that comes in and checks some of those boxes that are now vacant with or unmarked, I should say, with Rodney Robinson gone.
BSU Bill saying Jalen Webb could be a stud once he acclimates to the speed of D1. Total ball hawk at JUCO last year. DB room is so deep on paper. Now it's up for Warren and Stockton to coach them up. And our friend Vlad always putting, always cooling the fire a little bit. Guys, we lost mediocre talent at DB and receiver. Unless our existing talent makes huge improvement, the new names have a low bar to get over. Sorry is what he says. McCoy, Irby, Banks, Ganter, Benefield, Webb. That's 7 guys on paper who should play a lot. Another 1 to 2 who will probably emerge. A lot of depth. And that, Jay, as we kind of put a bow on this conversation, for me is one of the big overarching question with him and maybe with this defense is just we saw so much pressure from the safety. You mentioned leading the nation in sacks from a safety. We saw so much different exotic blitzes and different ways to get pressure on the quarterback last year. And I know at times they gave up some big plays in the passing game, which on the defensive side, which, talking to Michael Callahan and some guys said was, a direct result of a lot of one-on-one coverage and a lot of just different things they were doing to try to get to the quarterback. And you kind of take some of that good with the bad and some of that. And I'm very curious losing these guys. If they just say, nope, that's our style, that's what we're doing, and we're going to put a guy in there and see if it works, or if they do have to adjust and change things, and maybe we don't get quite as much blitzing this year. I mean, obviously you're losing some other key guys and that were involved in rushing the quarterback and pressures too, with the Ahmed Hassanin or an Andrew Simpson or some of the other guys they've lost on the interior of the defensive line. So what Eric Chinander, when we get time to talk to Eric Chinander to start fall camp, that's going to be one of my kind of first overarching questions is what, is this all systems ahead, same thing, or do they have to tweak some things with the personnel they have this year being different? I think that's a big question for this defense.
Yeah, I mean, we probably asked a very similar question last year. I mean, who would have predicted that Seyi Oladipo, even given up to that point in his career, who would have predicted that Seyi would go out and have 6.5 sacks? I don't know how many people would have thought of that. I mean, you have to, at that position, man, you got to have some opportunity to go out and do that because you're not just going to get 6.5 sacks by dropping back into coverage and things like that. So you have to have a coach that believes in you. And clearly Eric Chinander believed in Seyi Oladipo last year. I think that I do think that in some way, shape, or form, we are going to see an approach that mimics what they did last year. And I think the reason why I believe that is just because, I think that if I had to guess, last year for both the offensive and defensive coordinators for Boise State were probably a couple of the more freer years that they've had at those positions in recent history. And I guess just what I mean by that is Spencer Danielson, I really think that he believes in autonomy. And if this is what Eric Shenander believes is going to be the most productive, successful offense that he's going to, or excuse me, defense that he can put out there, the best, strategy, whatever, then he's going to go do it. And I think that we saw a little bit of that last year. He's going to stay on the tack. He wants to be aggressive. And I just feel like in some way, shape, or form, maybe not as much, but I still feel like that's going to be part of their identity this year.
BSU Bill saying less blitzing is fine if it nets out to less explosive passing plays, give and take. And Skyship says, I hope Shenander continues the blitz from every grass blade approach with the dime packages. Led the nation last year in sacks. So, very curious to see what it looks like. I wouldn't expect a lot of changes. I mean, that's kind of his style and what they're going to do. And we'll see if Ganter and some of these guys are the ones that are ready to step up and fill it. Josh, we've discussed this on some previous episodes. Don't have time right now for it today, but does Kobe Young see the field this year? In a short answer, I would say at some point, yes. I would think probably, but I mean, is he a guy that's going to score a touchdown this year? I'm not ready to say that. But go back and find a previous episode on the wide receivers and who, we're going to have some future ones on that coming up as well here in a couple weeks.
Underrated role for Kobe this year.
Field goal block. There you go. 6'7", got some hops. Get out there behind the line and try to block one.
I mean, you're going to have to kick over like 11 feet.
There you go.
If that's a deep kick, that might be hard to hit.
And Bronco 130.
There you go. Let's go, Keith.
From the sideline. Come on now, Bronco 130. That's not
easy turbo.
Jay, enjoy, I guess, a work day from home again. You're on the payroll. What a nice start for you the first couple of days here. But concert should be fun tonight. Hope everybody has a good time, and I'll have the photos and the video tomorrow. But Post Malone. What about Jelly Roll? I don't know if he's a guy that wears the team gear of the team or not. If they can get him a hat or something. But we're pretty confident it'd be an upset and a disappointment. And if at some point during the show there's not at least some BSU garment on Post Malone,
I agree.
And some sort of mention of, does he mention being here for the championship game? You think?
I think there's too big of a story not to.
Okay,
and that's going to absolutely fire up the fans. I mean, maybe he turns around and rips the new goalpost off.
And I just need to know, now that you're on the payroll at Boise State, if I mention your name at the beer line or something, are there any discounts or anything I can get?
Absolutely not.
Jay's take this off his expenses for the next month, or
go ahead and try, but absolutely not.
Well,
maybe we'll get there. Hopefully something someday.
Should
maybe
be fun.
A football game and not a concert.
Garth Brooks had a Boise State guitar for one of the songs, so we'll see. They're saying Post Malone will start the Boise State chant. Count on it. So we'll see.
Okay.
Rips the new goalpost down. Jay, is that what you said? Yeah. I don't know. They only have one of them in. I still think one of them is the old one, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that would be the ceremonial. Let him rip it out. Maybe that's planned or something. I don't know. I believe his last song or the last couple songs, he switches down to a smaller stage at that end zone where the old goalpost is still down there. So maybe there's some ceremonial way they can let him bring it down. And if you're going tonight, maybe you'll see Javen Buchanan. Pop says he's going to the concert tonight. So,
nice.
There you go. So they didn't ask you, Jay, to jump in on security tonight?
No.
Okay. Because Jeremiah Dickey did say last week that your duties include duties as assigned, and he mentioned for the concert whether it was security or they might need your help.
I'm kind of scared about that. I don't know what that means. That can entail anything.
Well, we're going to keep bringing that up too whenever when various. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, man. And looking forward to the concert tonight. And we'll talk to you on Friday. I think we'll be at number 11 by Friday. I'm not sure. So we're parking enforcement is what they said they got you on tonight, Jay. So just kind of point and there you go.
Basically, if you know parking enforcement, they just tell you no. So I think I can do that.
All hands on deck. We heard it from Cody and all these guys. So I have, I'm only half kidding here. I'm surprised they didn't get you out there doing something, but no, excited for tonight. Excited to keep our countdown rolling. 9 a.m. weekdays here as we continue to get you ready. Our Countdown to Camp series, Mountain West Media Days. Another cool announcement coming on that. We got a new not a new member of the team, but someone on the BNN team that's going to come down to media days with us to help out with some of the shows and maybe hasn't done that in the past. So we got some cool news to come on that. So we're working, grinding, planning things behind the scenes for Mountain West Media Day. Is going to be an exciting time here in only a couple of weeks. So no, they're not going to get me on stage as a cameo to sing with Jelly Roll. That's not happening. Jay would have a much better chance at that before me. But enjoy it, folks. Be safe tonight. We'll talk to you guys 9 a.m. tomorrow. Bronco Nation News Live, brought to you by our title sponsor, rowpaint.com, here on a Taco Bell Tuesday. Enjoy the concert, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. BroncoNationNews.com.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Boucher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.